Bienvenidos, yo soy René Gamero. Hoy vamos a hablar de nuestro webinar. Gracias por registrarse al webinar de Convirtiendo tu código fuente a CODESYS, hoy 21 de mayo. Hablemos un poquito de la agenda de hoy. Agenda de hoy vamos a hablar primeramente quién somos, quién está dando este webinar, cuál es nuestra experiencia, y también qué es CODESYS. Queremos explicar por qué CODESYS es importante, por qué es relevante de verdad a nivel mundial y hablar, como a mí me gusta aprender, es de casos actuales. Así que también vamos a hablar de algunos case studies que tenemos en CODESYS muy brevemente, porque para lo que todos de verdad queremos ver hoy es el demo en vivo en cual convertimos código fuente a CODESYS. Y al final vamos a tener una sesión de question and answer. Cualquier pregunta que tengan la pueden poner en el chat. Sí, la mayor parte, quizás todas las preguntas las vamos a contestar al final, pero si hay algo relevante que vemos que agrega mucho a la conversación, lo vamos a contestar entonces. Así que muchísimas gracias por atender hoy. Y aquí estamos nosotros tres. Estoy yo, René Gamero, gerente para Latinoamérica para Opto 22. También tenemos a nuestros dos OptoPartners, Northern Dynamics y NVTech. ¿Por qué no empezamos con Paul? Paul de Jong de Northern Dynamics. Él va a hablar en inglés y ahora fuera buena oportunidad para que te presentaras, Paul, y Northern Dynamics. Paul?
Renee, thank you very much for inviting me to this. I'm excited to be part of this webinar, and I am the owner of Northern Dynamics, and we are an Opto partner and Opto 22 partner. We're also a CODESYS partner, and yeah, we've developed the conversion software that we're going to be presenting later on in this webinar. So I appreciate you coming to the webinar, and I hope you have a good time seeing all the new features and things like that. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Gracias, Paul. Y nuestro Opto Partner y Opto Distributor, de NVTech, que es nuestro distribuidor basado en Costa Rica, pero nuestro distribuidor para todo Centroamérica. Y presento a Esteban. Esteban, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias René. Muchas gracias a todos por participar en este webinar. Mi nombre es Esteban Núñez, yo soy gerente ejecutivo en NU Tecnologías. Nosotros, como dice René, abarcamos Centroamérica como OptoPartner. Hace poco, bueno, ya logramos inclusive impulsar varias ventas con OEMs, con clientes finales. Entonces, muy contento de participar acá y ojalá que sea de mucho provecho para todos este webinar.
Sí, excelente, gracias. Entonces, cualquiera en Centroamérica que quiere cotización o más información, Esteban va a ser tu primer contacto para NVTech. Así que, ¿quién es Opto 22? Solo brevemente, muchos de ustedes aquí veo que nos conocen. Tenemos ya cumpliendo 50 años en la industria, originalmente uno de los inventores del relé de estado sólido de la forma de fabricación actual. Más de 100 millones de puntos físicos de entradas y salidas sobre más de 10,000 clientes a nivel global. Y es el único que combina lo que es el OT y el OT y el IT de un mercado de la forma de hardware con nuestros protocolos abiertos y de ciberseguridad, como vieron originalmente. Entonces, de hoy vamos a enfocar lo que es CODESYS y quería explicarles de que aunque tenemos varios productos, vamos a enfocar mucho en el Epic y en el Rio, ya que los dos corren CODESYS y la conversación de hoy es de CODESYS y cómo convertir código a CODESYS. Lo importante es, ustedes tienen todo tipo de fabricante de PLC que están usando. Ahora ya, honestamente, ya vivimos en el futuro. Lo que soñábamos hace 20 años de que qué bueno fuera de convertir este código usando algo de inteligencia artificial para ayudarme a convertirlo a protocolo abierto, allá estamos aquí y hoy lo vamos a ver en vivo. Entonces, aquí está nuestra fábrica de Opto 22 en California. Aquí es donde produce todos los equipos Opto 22, todos los Epics y Ríos son diseñados, apoyados, fabricados y se da soporte técnico para todos nuestros productos aquí. Les pido que nos inviten, les invito que nos visiten, ya que tenemos entrenamiento directo de 4 días para de verdad enseñarles todo lo que les vamos a enseñar hoy y hasta más. Entonces, empecemos rápidamente. ¿Qué es CODESYS y por qué es importante? Vamos a hablar lo que es el market share de CODESYS. Tiene a este momento más de 8 millones de licencias a nivel mundial. Se está en más de 1,000 dispositivos diferentes y estamos hablando de más de 500 fabricantes. Así que Opto no es el único que está integrando CODESYS a sus productos. Aquí vemos los nombres como ABB, Schneider, Bosch, Wago, Hitachi, muchísimos más que están usando CODESYS ya. En este graph lo que van a ver es que, y esto es market share a nivel mundial. Entonces, el dominante al nivel mundial de su IDE, de su software de programación, Step 7 y TI Portal, aquí vemos que más de la mitad es de Siemens. Y vemos de que, pero 34% lo tiene CODESYS. Pero si miramos estas gráficas, hay varios otros fabricantes que tienen su IDE que está basado en CODESYS. Entonces, si sumamos todas esas diferentes CODESYS-based IDEs, algo interesante pasa. Lo sumamos y ahora vemos que CODESYS de verdad es el IDE dominante a nivel mundial de poder programar sistemas basados en PLCs. Eso es importante porque muchos todavía no han oído de CODESYS o no han trabajado con CODESYS y creo que es muy importante entender de que ya tiene una presentación de muy alto nivel y como vamos a ver, ya hay varios recursos gratuitos, capacitaciones, cursos y varios videos hasta que algunos de nuestros ingenieros como ingeniero Gerrit Reichert de Opto 22 que está aquí hoy, vamos a hablar de los videos que tiene él. Los soporte técnico de CODESYS, Opto 22 lo apoya. Puedes ir a CODESYS, claro, para todo tu soporte técnico, pero porque lo tenemos integrado a nuestro EPIC, esta es nuestra CPU, fuente, chasis, nuestros módulos, y por cierto, estos módulos tienen garantía de por vida. CODESYS lo puedes descargar ahorita mismo de la tienda de CODESYS por $0. Y trae un simulador y si compras cualquier EPIC ya tiene un runtime integrado gratuito en cual le puedes descargar. Así que si ya tienes un EPIC, ya tienes todas las herramientas para poder correr CODESYS. Además, Opto integró una librería específica para Opto 22 y tenemos un training.opto22.com, que esto voy a poner en el chat para que ustedes puedan tener el entrenamiento. Y el entrenamiento es tan bueno, les juro de que yo mismo, eso es lo que uso yo para darme un refresher en cómo se descarga un programa CODESYS al EPIC. Entonces, ¿por qué no continuamos aquí y hablar de las librerías que tiene? En CODESYS se llaman SLs, Software Libraries. Y aquí vemos todas las diferentes software libraries más comunes y ya que hemos validado que trabajan excelentemente con el producto de Opto 22. Ya vienen incluidas las Modbus TCP Master, pero hay comunicación a BACnet, a Ethercat, CANopen, Ethernet IP, Profinet y muchísimas otras más. Hemos visto de IO-Link y varias otras formas de comunicación. Las funcionalidades son muchas de las tradicionales de cuales ya están acostumbrados, pero ahora agregamos agnóstico de hardware. El software que está corriendo en un sistema que está corriendo el CODESYS puro, lo puedes hacer un upload y descargar a lo que es CODESYS. El problema ha sido que si tengo código fuente en otros fabricantes, digamos un Siemens, un Rockwell, un Schneider, ¿cómo lo convertimos? Para eso estamos aquí hoy, para que Paul nos enseñe de que ahora con su herramienta, qué tan fácil es convertirlo a lo nuevo. Hay varios videos que ha hecho Opto 22 ya y como le hablé a nuestro ingeniero Gerrit, que ya tiene varios videos, vamos a poner unos links a estos videos para que los puedan ver, apreciar y aprender de ellos, además del training que tenemos. Ahora, dos ejemplos rápidos. Ya ven que CODESYS es bien adoptado en el mercado, ven que CODESYS es gratis, ven que CODESYS es portable. Ahora quiero ver que ya hay clientes reales usando CODESYS. Empezamos con una aplicación de agua, específicamente del Pine Brook Water District en Estados Unidos, en cual, ¿por qué no miramos a esta arquitectura? Y aquí está el máster, aquí está la oficina central de este sistema de agua. Y este sistema de agua tiene dos tipos de redes. Tiene redes de punto a punto vía 900 megahertz, pero también porque está a los otros lados de los cerros, no tiene comunicación punto a punto y necesita comunicarse vía comunicación celular, disculpen, a ríos usando MQTT. Esto se puede hacer de varias formas. Se puede hacer con software tipo Ignition, se puede hacer vía nodo red, se puede hacer vía nuestra implementación que tenemos integrada a Epic, pero a este cliente le encanta CODESYS. Entonces, todo lo que es la comunicación de lógica, de comunicaciones, de MQTT, todas las integraciones IoT, todas fueron integradas internamente con CODESYS. Y quiero que miren aquí, porque apoya el IEC 61131-3. Aquí vemos que apoya todos los diferentes lenguajes de structured text, function blocks, todo lo tipo que es común para esa industria. Entonces, esa es la primera aplicación. La otra que tenemos es una muy interesante, que es un fabricante de máquinas de refrigeración industrial. Aquí sí quiero que pongan atención, porque aquí tuvimos la suerte de que el fabricante ya tenía programaciones en CODESYS ya puestas. ¿Qué pasó durante la pandemia? Tiempos de entrega. Nosotros desafortunadamente llegamos hasta 8 semanas de tiempos de entrega y para nosotros era algo que no queríamos, nos daba mucha pena tener que decirle a la gente de que estábamos a 8 semanas, pero nuestra competencia estaba a 18 meses, a 24 meses y se hizo muy fácil para nosotros recibir atención de todos estos fabricantes porque nosotros éramos los únicos con equipo. Pero para hacerlo hasta más fácil, porque nosotros sabíamos CODESYS, es tan fácil como subir el código fuente de ese otro fabricante y descargarlo. En menos de 2 meses para este cliente, y como vemos, ya estaban todos estos gabinetes, todos estos kits ya hechos y solo estaba el espacio para el PLC. Se pone directamente el equipo Epic, se remapea los puntos de IO y ahí sigue la lógica. Entonces, para verlo de forma más cerca, aquí vemos estos gabinetes ya listos para solo un plug and play de un sistema de Opto 22. Y acuérdense que estos módulos, garantía de por vida. Este rack, garantía de por vida. Y esta CPU, 30 meses, que es lo estándar para nuestros productos. Así que cuando miran un equipo de Opto 22, el gran chance es que tiene garantía de por vida. Si no, lo peor es que tiene 30 meses. Así que ya habla mucho a lo que es la calidad, que nosotros por los últimos 50 años somos ingenieros, somos diseñadores, pero somos primero fabricantes de equipos de calidad. Entonces, ya quiero hablarles un poco. Aquí tenemos este webinar con nuestros OptoPartners. Tenemos a Paul aquí de Northern Dynamics y aquí está su página de OptoPartners. Si vas a este link de OptoPartners que vamos a poner al final de este webinar y también de NV Tecnologías. Si ustedes tienen un interés de hacerse OptoPartner con Opto 22, pueden ir a este link o mandarme un mensaje a mi directo para poder ponerlos y publicarlos directamente en el sitio web de Opto 22. Entonces ya llegamos, ya paramos todo lo aburrido, que era mi parte de la presentación, porque todos estamos aquí verdaderamente para ver a Paul y su herramienta y cómo de verdad está cambiando el mundo ya, que está convirtiendo código fuente en este ejemplo a un código fuente que un cliente nos dio usando Rockwell para convertirlo a CODESYS. Y vamos a ver eso. Vi que tienes pregunta, Andrés, ponlo en el chat y ahí continuamos. So with that, Paul, all the boring part is done. So now it's time to the good stuff. We would like to see, we're ready for your demo.
Very good. Thank you very much. I'm getting some links coming in through here. So anyways, thank you very much. Yeah. And let me share my screen here if I can. Share the screen number one. And
looks like it's coming.
all right, perfect. All right, and let me slide in. Let me just give a sort of preamble to this. So I'm a CODESYS system partner and an Opto 22 partner, and one of our specialties at Northern Dynamics is we convert from Rockwell and Siemens to CODESYS. So we've been doing that for a number of years, and then it kind of dawned on us well, we're in automation. Let's see if we can automate this somehow. So we came up with a software suite that'll actually do this for us, and basically it'll convert about 80 to 90% of our of Rockwell code. At this point, we're only doing Rockwell code, but it'll convert 80 to 90% of the code, do a lot of the heavy lifting and the quick typing for you, and then leaving you with some. There's going to be some things in every project that are unique that you'll have to convert yourself. But bottom line is, our app has gone through the initial development stage. We're actually in beta testing right now. So beta testing for the summer, and the launch for this is planned for sometime in September. So what you're seeing before you is just it's just an example. One of the partners has been gracious enough to allow us to use their project to look at. So I've just got the Rockwell project open here just to show you. You can see just basically the size of this project. It's quite large. It's got a bunch of tasks, and it's got some AOIs and so on. So that project will the software will this is the software we're going to convert this afternoon, just to give you an example. So let me close that out. I'm going to go out and launch. Legat is the name. Legat is the name of the software. That is Dutch for legacy. My forebears, my background, my father came from Holland, so I decided to make a tribute to him and his legacy. So that's why I use the name Legat. Anyway, so when I launch it, I'm going to go into the CODESYS converter, and it's a pretty simple converter. The software itself is doesn't take too much. That's the first screen. It shows up with this CODESYS converter. There's the first screen. You go in and you pick the project you want to actually convert. So we'll go out and we'll find that. And then you pick the profile that you want to actually use, or really the CODESYS version that you want to use. In this case, I'm going to use Service Pack 19 Patch 5 and allow it to convert. And I hit convert, and it'll go and it'll do the conversion for us. It'll give us a report on the desktop as to what, if there's anything that it couldn't convert, it will log that in the report. And then at some point, it'll open up CODESYS version patch 5. It'll open that up, and you'll start to see it actually converting, actually doing the work. It looks a lot like somebody just sitting there typing away. So it's just much faster than the 6 or 8 weeks it would take to probably convert this project manually. So in about 2 minutes, you can have 6 to 8 weeks worth of work completed for you. And then, of course, you do have to do the odd thing to it. In the case of Opto 22, if we're going to use an Opto 22 PLC, you would go in there and just modify it from the canned soft PLC that comes with CODESYS and change it to a Opto 22 Groove Epic, and then you should be able to download it, try it out. So it's converting. As you can see, that it's open CODESYS here. We'll see it's going to ask me to expand it, and then we'll see it start to type. All right, so I'm gonna go here. It's going to ask me to extract it. It's doing an extraction process as part of the code, and then you'll start to see it type. So it's going to start on the left. You'll also see in the middle here, it's going to add some things as we go. One thing in particular that you want to pay attention to, we've actually created our own library. Renee was talking about CODESYS having all these different libraries. We've actually created our own library of Rockwell-based instructions to mimic the instructions that you'll actually see, that you would see in your projects. So it's still executing. You can see at the bottom here, it's executing it's executing. So we'll just give it a second, and it'll show up. So again, in the meantime, the catch is that it's probably about 6 to 8 weeks work is going to be done in about 2 minutes or so.
Oh, Paul, I put 1 minute in the webinar, so I think we're going to have a lot of upset people hanging up on us when it takes 2 minutes.
I hope nobody's timing it.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me go back here and actually close that, and let's see it continue to operate. Oh, what did I do? Hang on. There. So it's adding the library. As you can see, it's added the Northern Dynamics library, and as you can see, it's starting to type on the left-hand side. It's adding the AOIs from Rockwell. Rockwell uses the term AOIs for function blocks, so we've actually converted those. And then, of course, all the you'll see as it's typing here, it's adding all the subroutines that are in the Rockwell project. So it will do. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, please go ahead.
It'll do ladder logic. It'll do a portion of function block. It'll do structured text. It'll do these different languages as well. So it's not just exclusive to ladder logic, although, of course, Rockwell's world, predominantly people use ladder logic, right? Sorry, Renee.
No, please. I didn't want to. All I'm saying is, it would seem it would seem like it would be harder doing it this way. Anything I try to get a software program to do live, it'll crash it. So it seems like it's better to kind of let it do its thing, not open it. But you're here, you have the project open, and it's updating.
Yeah, and it's just as I said, you're right. It's just updating. It's almost like somebody sitting there typing. That's what it looks like, right? It's just very fast, right? So but there it's actually completed. So you can see if I go into I don't know, I'll pick one of the routines. Oh, it must be still doing something here. There it is there. So you can see it's actually it created this block here is an AOI that custom AOI that people have created. So and notice all the comments, and this is important. A lot of the comments, or all the comments, have come through as well. So you'll see ladder logic or run comments come through. You'll see tag comments and things like that will all come through. Let's go down to, let's try some others. So you can see there's some more ladder logic there. I was missing some. So you can see there's ladder logic there. And all these blocks, all these are all routines. And again, if I scroll up, just as a note, again, it's converted the AOI. So inside an AOI, you'll actually see the code that is part of the AOI. But also on top of it, it's created the controller tag database. So in Rockwell, typically most people put all their variables or tags in the controller area, the common area. So if we go in there, you'll notice that we've copied whatever is in the controller tag database and made those variables inside the project. We've also done data types, so we've actually covered all the data types that were created or were used, custom data types that maybe a person, a user has actually created, and again, the comments come through. We add our own at the top here. You'll see conversion default. We add our own blocks that maybe are not part of CODESYS. CODESYS doesn't have a first scan. They've never created a first scan. So Rockwell users like to use the first scan. So we created our own first scan and we include it in any project. Now, interestingly enough, let me scroll down and let me show you. So as we're scrolling down, you can see all the routines, all the code that it's actually created. But right at the bottom here, you'll see the library manager. And if I go into the library manager, you'll see that the Northern Dynamics Rockwell library has been added. And if we go in there, you can see all the function blocks that we've actually created. These are all custom function blocks that we've created that we use to mimic things that are inside a Rockwell project. All right, so functions, ladder. Sorry, here's the ladder functions. So if we go there, you can see all the ladder functions that we've recreated in CODESYS. So we have a lot of our own now. One of the things in Rockwell does they don't worry about data types. The blocks themselves can do it can do a conversion of data types. That's not the case in CODESYS, so that's another reason why we created our own blocks, so that we could do exactly. We wanted to mimic exactly what you would see in Rockwell. We wanted to give you a base platform, the same as what's in Rockwell, and give you that in CODESYS, and then you can take it from there and use all the powerful tools that are available. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, Renee.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know if
that's
there's any questions on that.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions. So, ahora vamos a hacer un recap, pero sí veo que tenemos una pregunta ahora, pero cualquier pregunta que se les ocurra ahora fuera un buen tiempo para hacerlo. So, I was just letting everyone know to go ahead and fill in their questions. But it's just like you said, it's 6 to 8 weeks jump on the project that you can get, and it's all detailed out there. So I'm sure they're going to be a ton of questions as they happen. But at this point, I don't think I have any questions. Esteban, is there something algo que quieres añadir aquí antes que empecemos al question and answer?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Paul if when this now translated project, can you map out how big it is? How many tasks or routines did it totally, maybe not to compare, but to know the size of the project that you just convert?
Yeah, if I think the best way, if I went back to, let me launch the I'm going to launch the Rockwell project. Let's see if where'd it go? My test there. Let me launch that, and we'll just look at. I guess I could look at it in CODESYS as well, what the size of it is. But you can see there, just by looking at it. I don't know. There's probably 150 routines is what it converted into. We're using methods instead of function blocks for it. So you can see there's probably 150 there, maybe somewhere in that range. We go and we could probably actually look up the application itself and see size wise. But yeah, I mean, this is quite a large project, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the audience see what was the size, how big it was, because it looks that has a lot of stuff. Of course, the routines and the tasks and everything. You can see the size, but seeing the number also, I think it makes a point, right? That it's not your easy peasy project only, right? It can also convert your bigger projects, so it can be it is more time saving, right? As if you save 2 days, that's okay, that's great, in 2 minutes, perfect. But if you save 8 weeks of work, it's a lot of investment there.
Well, yeah, and a lot of what's involved in converting, of course, you kind of have to know what you're converting, right? You have to know where you're coming and going to be able to understand the conversion process itself. But the other thing is, to be honest with you, the converting projects takes just a lot of typing. There's a lot of typing that's involved. So you're constantly having to drag and drop instructions from the toolbox, whether it's, especially if you're trying to do ladder logic for ladder logic, you're dragging and dropping. So that is a lot of, I would say, tedious work, and for sure that's what this project, this program does, is it will actually reduce or eliminate all that tedious typing, and then the stuff that's really critical, or stuff that's really maybe it can't convert. Maybe there's the odd thing it can't convert. For example, a GSV in Rockwell, we don't convert that because that is unique to Rockwell's processors. So we might not necessarily have the same thing in CODESYS. So in that regard, the user would have to tackle that separately. But again, you're right, Esteban, you're right. It's like we're trying to get you 80 to 90% there, and then go from there.
Right. Yeah,
I was going to talk a little bit about the inability to convert password protected code. Quería mencionar desde que sí puede convertir todo el código fuente aquí del Rockwell, por ejemplo, pero todavía no, pero si un block o una parte de la lógica tiene código fuente que está cerrado o protegido vía password, no podemos hacer nada con ese block. Así que no es de, tienes que tener un acceso full al código fuente para poder hacer la conversión. So with that, I think I'm going to start combining some of the questions that we have, Paul, for you.
Yes.
Um, I think some that you can answer is let's start off with any way to do incremental translations. So instead of just doing the whole source code, is there a way to do it incrementally, or is it at this point just converting the entire source code over and seeing what and working from that standpoint?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Great question. No, right now, what the low-hanging fruit for us is just to basically convert the whole thing in one go. We haven't looked at doing anything incremental at this point. No.
And roadmap wise, I know, little birdie told me that you have a couple of other manufacturing IDEs in mind. Do you have motion control also as part of your roadmap? What's the roadmap look like? And, I know we're still waiting on September, but if you could just give us as much information as you feel comfortable giving us about the future plans for development.
Yeah, again, great question. It's interesting. Once this process started, it's really been an eye opener for me as well in this process, because what's happened is as soon as I start talking about, okay, we can do Rockwell to CODESYS, then it was, well, can you do Siemens to CODESYS? Can you do Mitsubishi to CODESYS? Can you do Modicon to CODESYS? It's all these other platforms, and we're kind of like, wait a second, we have a certain team of people, to developers. We don't have a group of 1,000 developers tackling this. So right at the moment, where our goal is to get good at converting, get good at having a really bulletproof product that will work on Rockwell, and then we'll tackle other PLCs after that. There might be some other challenges with that, so that we've started to look at, but at this point, we're concentrating on Rockwell. To your point, motion control. We have not done motion control yet, but that is definitely on the roadmap. Motion control, the motion control, surprisingly enough, it's one part in Rockwell that is very similar to CODESYS. CODESYS motion control is very similar to Rockwell's motion control. The blocks are very similar, so it could actually be pretty straightforward. We just haven't tackled it yet. So what we're trying to do is go after just sort of general projects, general control at this point, and then start to specialize in these areas like motion control and maybe other manufacturers.
That question, I think you answered it, but as asking, how do you know which parts of the project have converted over? And I think that's probably in your conversion report, isn't it?
The conversion report will show you what hasn't converted over. Now, this particular project, another thing we're not converting yet is safety. We haven't converted safety yet. So this particular project does have safety in it. And you would see in the report, if I went into the report, there is a lot of duplicate stuff that you'll see in here. So let's say non-converted instructions, you'll see tags not exported, and total rung issues 29. So we're seeing a number of issues, but you'll see similar things, like, for example, these ones here, they're all GSV related. So again, that's one instruction that we won't necessarily tackle. We might provide, in the Rockwell world, the GSV is almost exclusively used for getting the wall clock time off the processor. We can do something similar in CODESYS, and we probably will just offer that as a block up in the on that up with the first scan bit. But other than that, so you can see there's a whole bunch of things. They're all GSV related that would have to be recreated somehow. So yes, to your point, we're not reporting what has been converted. We're reporting what hasn't been converted, so that you can go in and tackle it. That's the way we've approached it anyways.
Excellent. The next question is, you can go ahead and read. I'm going to read the long one from Andres. I'll read it out loud and you can either listen to it or begin the answer for yourself. But it's what can you say about the RS5000 and Studio 5000 versions? How do they handle added instructions in each version? And then examples of FDBs on version 30 or 3 or later. I'm not a Rockwell proficient like Paul is. And math, and it looks like you've already tackled the safety part.
Yeah, so all the math blocks will convert. All the main math blocks will convert. The version wise, we're up to, I believe we've tested right up to version 35. So we've been able to do projects for version 35. Function block, this does actually have this project, if you can see it here, it actually had function block as part of the project, and it did convert it, as you can see. Now, of course, so truth be told, the function block in Rockwell isn't really a standard industry standard function block. Where that actually came from, many people don't realize where Rockwell originally came from. Rockwell did not come from Allen Bradley. Rockwell actually came, or Rockwell's control logics came from a product called Automax, which was an old controller way back in the day. I used to work for that company back in the day, Reliance Electric. They had this product called Automax, and then Rockwell bought Reliance, and they put the two people together and said, hey, go make a product. In the process, they took the Reliance people and they asked them to be exclusively responsible for the function block. The function block was created for drive system control. So there's a lot of really quirky, unique blocks in there, like lead lag and stuff that you might not see in a lot of other products. So those we're converting a certain amount of the function blocks, but some of those really unique ones we're not converting at this point. So again, that would be included up in the conversion report.
Next question is any cross-reference for control logics controllers to the Epic? And they give a few part numbers there, if you can read them, Paul. 1756, the L5X, L6X, and L7X.
L7. So sorry, read the question again. Is there cross-reference?
Any cross-reference for control logics controllers to Epic?
Oh,
specifically
good question.
The 1756 L5, 6, and 7Xs.
So what's interesting is the comparison. So I'm gonna do a general comparison. And Renee, if you have more specific comparison of the Epic hardware, that would help. But as a general comparison, CODESYS outshines Rockwell PLCs by a profound amount. I have done physical tests for customers on a CODESYS PLC, CODESYS products that like we're talking in the neighborhood of not just 10 times faster, we're talking in the neighborhood of 1,000 times faster. What we're seeing is performance in a CODESYS PLC it seems to just be far beyond what Rockwell actually has, even in their strong L85. L85 is their top of the line processor. Now, what's also interesting is what we see in basically all CODESYS PLCs is the ability. Here's something that you won't see in Rockwell is multiple cores. So in CODESYS PLC, generally speaking, you're able to actually access multiple cores, whereas in Rockwell you're not. Rockwell in their L85. So the other day, about a year or two ago, somebody actually asked me to quote a Rockwell PLC. Customer asked me to quote a Rockwell PLC, so I grudgingly did that. And the processor was somewhere in the neighborhood of Canadian $25,000 just for the processor. So then if you start considering multiple cores, i.e., as in a CODESYS PLC, you'd actually have to have multiple PLCs to do that, to get the similar capability of a CODESYS PLC. So the performance improvements are profoundly better in a CODESYS PLC than they are in Rockwell PLCs.
Wonderful with that. And I put some of the data up here for it. Like you said, we're multi-core, so we're a quad-core ARM processor. what a lot of the PLCs that I'm looking at that people try to compete us up against, they're talking about megabytes of RAM while we're in the gigabyte space, and just the capabilities for it. We saw some questions over there on benchmarking. We have benchmarking data that we're happy to share with you, Michael, if you're looking for that information. I forgot, se me olvidó que este webinar está en español. Tenemos información de benchmarking de todos nuestros sistemas de EPICs y ríos, etcétera. Así que si necesitan esa información, por favor, solo manden un correo al correo de Opto 22 que los invitó para compartir eso con ustedes. Pero sí vemos la gran potencia de lo que es el CODESYS corriendo en estos procesadores. Algo equivalente en el mundo de Rockwell, etcétera, fuera un carro, fuera diferencia de un carro bueno que estuviera estacionadas en tu oficina. Entonces, the next question we have is, how would you, it's about I/O. So how would you redirect digital I/O inputs and outputs?
Yeah, and that's something that you will have to do at this point. Again, as something else we're not converting or we're not bringing over. We're not actually doing the I/O. So what happens is you have to decide. In this case, if you're deciding to use a Opto 22 PLC, you would change. Our converter will just use the generic CODESYS control win, and then what you're going to do is right click, change it to an Opto PLC, and then from there you'll get the Ethernet tree down below where you can start adding your I/O. And then what you're going to do is and this is part of the errors. We purposely do not convert the I/O tags inside. We carry the same name across so that the compiler will actually highlight that for you, and you can go in and change the names. So you would need to go and change the names, remap the I/O to the I/O for your PLC. That's going to be part of the process.
Okay. Así que como para cualquier conversión, sí vas a necesitar que remapear esas entradas y salidas. Esa parte sí es manual todavía porque no se sabe si el cableado va a ser idéntico también. The other question was, are there, otra pregunta es si hay planes de conversiones de sistemas de racks y sí, de eso exactamente estamos hablando con Paul ayer de los conectores para hacer esta situación tan fácil como, this is what we were talking about yesterday, Paul, about any conversion rack kits for coming for Epic, and we were discussing just that about the connectors. En un mundo futuro, eso sí estamos evaluando que fuera algo muy ideal, porque al fin del día lo que quiere alguien que está haciendo un cambio de máquina es minimizar el cableado, minimizar todo, bueno, el tiempo de conversión, pero en corto sí hay planes para eso, pero todavía es temprano mientras está. Eso de verdad para nosotros, para Opto 22 es fácil. Hacemos placas de todo tipo de conversión de nuestros sistemas, por ejemplo, a placas de relé. Eso los podemos hacer en muy corto tiempo. Así que en corto, para contestar tu pregunta, sí. Sí, sí hay planes, pero es muy temprano, dependiendo en qué necesita el mercado.
Yo creo que todos los OptoPartners, puedo hablar por todos, que nos gustaría haberlo hecho realidad pronto.
Ya,
Ya,
pero
mañana.
Mañana, sí, ayer.
O ayer, sí.
Yeah. So with that, Paul, I think we're going to wrap it up. We don't want to keep people here too much time. Looks like we have one more question. How can they get the converter? So, ahorita estamos en procesos de hacer todas las pruebas del conversor. Así que aquí de verdad es Garrick adentro de Opto 22 que está evaluando esta herramienta. Garrick's evaluating the tool. Si ustedes tienen código fuente, veo que muchos que están atendiendo aquí, ustedes nos han prestado código fuente en Rockwell que hemos convertido. Y lo interesante es no le pedimos, no nos manden código fuente fácil. Mándennos algo como vieron, algo tremendo, algo complicado, porque estamos en el proceso por los próximos 3-4 meses en hacer este producto robusto y más fácil de usar. Así que sí, todavía no, pero sí ya viene en un futuro muy corto para ya poder solo descargar esta herramienta. So just talking about, we're in the process now of testing it. So if they have any hairy code to send it our way, because that's something that we're really interested in doing. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Gracias, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Ford. Thank you, Esteban. Looks like Esteban had a connection issue there, but thank you to NVTech. Thank you to Northern Dynamics. Gracias a todos. Si tienen un interés de hacerse OptoPartner, ahí tienen el link. Les vamos a mandar el correo. Le vamos a mandar una grabación de esta presentación hoy. Y muchísimas gracias por atender. Y cualquier otra sugerencia de otro tema, estamos a sus órdenes. So I'll let you say goodbye, Paul. And Esteban, you can take us out after that. Paul?
Renee, thank you very much, and gracias to everybody. Thank you for coming to the webinar, and I appreciate you coming out and seeing our all about CODESYS and our app, and hope to hear from you in the future. And the app, absolutely, if in September, Renee will be a great contact for you for that. And we are an Opto partner, and we're working very closely with Opto. So absolutely, that's who you can contact for that for sure. So thank you very much, Renee, for this, and Esteban, it was great to have you aboard as well. And yeah, great, thank you.
Esteban, nos llevas a continuar nuestro martes.
Muchas gracias a todos de parte de NB y de todos los participantes y sé que de Opto también. Muchas gracias por asistir. Estamos para colaborarles en esos proyectos y a los participantes que trabajan con NB como integradores. También los invito a presentarnos algún código que podamos convertir de manera que podamos también probarles a ustedes cómo funciona y que puedan ver con esos proyectos que de repente tienen esa necesidad. Ojalá verlos hechos realidad.
Excelente. Bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos. Gracias por atender. Bye, Paul. Bye, Esteban. Thank you to everyone. Gracias a todos. A sus órdenes. Buen día.
Buen día.